Hey guys. I was in a club, my own personal club. Hold on. That song is such a bop. I wonder if that came out like during our current time, if it would still been a bop. If somebody hasn't sampled it, they will because it's still great. So, why the hell am I here, right? I was having a hard time this morning, like really rough, right? But I let myself go through it. And then at the end of that, I did my like whole little prayer warrior thing. And I was extremely surprised to realize that that was like the key, if you will. So, negative emotions. That's where I'll start. I'm like, where am I going to go with this message? Like, how do I start this? I have a hard time talking about difficult things, not because like I have a hard time talking about difficult things, right? But I was raised in a family when you bring up darker stuff or like spiritual bypassing is real, guys. Okay. I'd have like really, really hard issues. And I'd go to my mom about it and she'd be like, pray about it. It was never a solution. She ain't never helped me with anything. Like really. Like, I mean, all right, let me stop. She'd come back around later on with the suggestion in most cases, but the times where it was something really difficult, she would just say pray about it and I'd be on my own. And this is like starting from when I'm 5, 7 on the way up. So I've never really had anybody but God anyway. That was it. And even then, that you pray and you wait for an answer, I just didn't realize how fortunate I was to always see the answer. There are people who pray all the time and they say they never see the answer and that's why they give up. The answer I got today, didn't even know it was going to be something I was supposed to be sharing, is do not spiritual bypass when you have difficult things going on. When you're prompted to cry or be mad or sad or whatever, that is your sacred emotion. You came here to enjoy the human experience because it included emotions. You can't feel this shit as an alien or an angel. You're numb. It's very digital. Like, what is this feeling? And that's what happened to the fallen. They were watching the humans get jiggy. They were watching the humans cry and have hope and happiness and just this whole range of things. And all they can say is, what's this? Maybe I would like to experience it. And that's what happened. That's how we got here. But I did not know anything about legal rights before. Satan has the rights to your lower level emotions, fear, anger, guilt, anything on that lower end of the vibrational scale. Should I show you guys the vibrational scale? Yes, let's get into it. Well, I'm going to do this because I thought I was going to just hop on here and say a little word. I'll be trying. Vibration scale, frequency scale. I'm like, hold on, what am I saying? There we go. A frequency of human frequency, scale of emotions. Google gives me so many options. I'd be messed up. Like, what? I don't even know what I came on here for now. I think that's the ADD though. Like, stop giving me so many options, please. I'm suffering. Just give me the one thing I want. I don't even need to look at the other ones. That's how I'm about everything anyway. Like, too much of a good thing can be a bad thing. Too many options ain't good for you. I think that's a Mario song. That probably wasn't even the cadence, but whatever. Too many options ain't good. So, right here, let me show you where he jams us up. I'm snitching. The highest you can get on the scale, right? The highest you can get on the scale. There we go. No, I just did the. It does not want me to let y'all have this picture. See, that's what happened when you petty. So I'll go with this one. All right. So you are a human magnet. Your auric field, the energy within you, the stream of source that is coming through your chakras, right? It creates a field. I can even show you that. Your auric field. I've been getting the prompts and I don't listen to my own advice. I give myself such a hard time. Is that I need to start making y'all presentation. Like I need to just go in Canva because I used to love, what is that thing called? PowerPoint. I used to love making PowerPoint presentations. And I stopped doing that here after that. I got spiritually jumped, like all my stuff went off board because, yeah. But I'm starting to feel the energy of get back into what you were doing. That's not why you were jumped. And it doesn't matter. Uh, they did it once, they can't do it again. Not because they're not going to try, but now, thank you for jumping me and making me stronger. You gave me skills I didn't even know I had. Try me now that I know. So your auric field has layers. You see this here? I'm going to give y'all a better one, where it should pull up that better one that I just had. But each chakra, or each part of your field stems from, there we go. Each part of your, what's the word I want to call it? Your Wi-Fi, your router, your human is a router. You are kicking out a signal from each part of your body. Your base, that's like your sexual needs, like your human needs, what you need for survival, your grind. So there's a part of your aura for that, but then there's a part for your heart, your mind, and all that. Each part has a vibration that is sending out, and also that it is calling stuff in, because it's a magnet. It's a magnetic field. Based upon the totality of your vibration, based upon those chakras, what they all add up to, you get this scale of consciousness, how woke you are, how awake, or what energy you tend to live in, right? In general, when you get to boredom, and I wish there was one on here that showed you where boredom is, because I believe boredom is 100. I do also find that it's funny that weed is 420, and the ability to reason starts at 420. The ability, there it goes. That's the one I wanted to show you guys. The ability to reason allows you to get up out your feelings. Like you can be sad, like, oh man, this nigga cheated on me. He did this, A, B, C, and D. But then you realize, dang, that had nothing to do with me. I was great, but he couldn't appreciate great anyway. See, that's because you was able to reason. If you wasn't able to reason and you was caught in your feelings, you'd be like, oh my gosh, why me? I gave him everything. And it gets nobody anywhere. So let me spin the block on what I was saying. Boredom is a right. I did it with my finger, like y'all can see my finger pointing at the. Boredom is right here on the scale. My daughter is about to come through the door and with headphones on, and she's not even gonna know I'm recording. And she's gonna be like, oops, so just warning, y'all will hear that ahead of time. So boredom, you hear all the time that idle hands are the devil's playground. An idle mind is the devil's playground. As soon as you start getting bored and you're not thriving in what you love, you're not doing what you love, you're not thinking about what you love, you don't have any of that around you, you start going down. That means your magnet gets weaker, your energy constricts, right? That's your ability to attract. Lower level emotions make you tight, like literally, man, you tight. Whereas the upward spiral, or you being open, and I believe I discussed this in the last video that I had, being open allows you to attract more. It brings more into your aura. You get more channels, you get more inspiration. You are living in a space of flow. If you don't understand this, check out the movie Soul. It's Jamie Foxx. And in this movie, they show you what it's like to be in the zone, or to be in the space where things can flow, like in your happy place, right? So when you have lower level emotions down here, all this, again with my hand, all this over here, I hope y'all can see my little mouse. Those feelings are his. If you have any of that in your chakras, as soon as you're having a good day, he about to roll up and look at that and say, what feeling has she not dealt with yet? Let's go with overwhelm. And then they'll pluck that, and suddenly you'll start talking about all the things you have to do, all the things you ain't done, and then you get mad. Then you start going down the scale, because overwhelm goes to worry. Then you get discouraged. Then you get angry. Then you want to fight everybody that ever stopped you from being your greatest self. And then it doesn't go anywhere, because at the bottom of that scale is depression. And if you stay in depression too long, guess what? He got you, boo, because the next thing you're going to do is, right? You can't stay depressed that long. You can't stay in your lower chakras that long, because that's the voice of death. That's the voice of darkness. That is the voice of chaos. It's just chaos. It's just darkness, right? So when you spiritually bypass, you say, oh my goodness, I am feeling a lower level emotion I do not want to feel. Let me pray about it. Dear God, take this from me. You don't address it. You don't sit down and say, what is this? Why is this still here? Nothing. You just say, God, take it. And then you try to stay on these emotions. But the thing that we haven't been taught necessarily is these build up when you don't take care of them. That is the purpose of shadow work. And shadow work is not something that everybody knows about. Shadow work is sitting with that thing that just made you uncomfortable about yourself. And this is strictly about yourself. You cannot do shadow work for somebody else. You can't sit, well, technically, you can be like, oh, well, this person is like that because that happened in their life. But that's empathy. That's you understanding somebody. That's you coming to an understanding. That is not somebody else's shadow work, because shadow is the stuff that's unconscious to them too. You could never look at somebody else and do their shadow work for them fully. Like even me being a whatever cool thing this is that I'm doing, I could tell you your stuff, but it is never the same as you, the person who was in that position, looking at what you did that brought you shame or any of these lower level emotions, or that situation where you end up feeling this way afterwards, because somebody else could have did something to you. I cannot feel that for you to root that down to, oh, I felt like this because one time in third grade, I got bullied. And ever since that day, I promised I would never go let nobody A, B, C, or D, whatever the case may be. But when you were trying to reach your higher level emotions, when you are trying to purge yourself and be better, these other things are going to come out. And it's important right now that we are in spiritual warfare that everybody learn how to do their shadow work. When you feel a lower level emotion, pick it apart. What's the root? Scooby-Doo mask that shit. Pull the mask off. Like, oh, discouragement. That's just my Aunt Tina. Yeah, she ain't never do shit with her life. So therefore, she was always telling me I wasn't gonna be shit. Wow, this whole time I was in here trying to avoid the discouragement feeling, and it was just Aunt Tina and her failure. Like, you know what I mean? If you don't open the door or pull the mask off the villain, you're gonna keep running from him forever. It's like the Wizard of Oz. Everybody was scared of the Wizard of Oz the whole time. Like, oh Lord, you gotta be scared of this nigga with the big head at the end of the road. Just avoid him, just act right, and he gonna get you. Only to find out it was some man acting like he was the big bad because he was afraid of what would happen if anybody knew it was just him and that they had free will. And I think that's the gag at the end of the yellow brick road, but everybody has to come to that conclusion on their own. So I was really sad about several things, right? Because I felt like I was waiting and like, what am I waiting for? It's like just all this stuff. But when I took the mirror from the outside to inside, I had been holding myself back because I did not want to go and do this great thing that I know is great because I've heard my own music, right? Without the person that I have been stuck on this planet with for thousands of years. He did not contact me after all this time. And it's so crazy because the ironic thing is my daughter, and she's an adult now, right? She usually marries his brother. So it's like, I'm not only his old wife, but I have his brother's wife with me. And she sees him in her dreams too. She didn't know who it was. And I was like, hey, does it look like this dude? And she's like, and we got to the bottom of it, right? But all of that, like, dear God, I'm getting all these signs and I did everything that you asked for me, but I'm not seeing anything in the 3D. I'm feeling energy from this person and I feel like I'm tripping. And it was frustration. Look, number 10, impatience, irritants. And then, so of course, as soon as that kicked in and all the darkness from everything else, like, what are you doing? Like, all the bad stuff. Is this the devil? Is this, are you going to hell because you can read the stars? Just like everything came in. And I allowed myself to feel it and think about it. Like, God made the stars. Why would you go to hell for reading them? That doesn't even make sense. Like, I made this thing, don't touch it. I don't even think that apple and that tree thing was like actual God. I think that was the Wizard of Oz posing as God trying to test us because that's what he does down here. But from my relationship and my connection with God, that's not what daddy do. That's not what a good parent does, right? To set you up just to see if you're going to fail. That's not what a good parent does. I think that book was written by the Wizard of Oz, y'all. I think that book was written by that dude, but we'll get into that another day. So I let myself cry and I let myself be upset. And then I got the feeling or the vibe, sacred rage, sacred emotions. Your feelings are sacred. They are yourself fighting for yourself. You remembering what you're here for. They lead you to find contentment, which is the first way out. Contentment, being okay with where you are. Remembering what you've been through and how you got here, and the fact that you sort of like, okay now. It really helps when you look back you can see how far you've come. And there's a power in that alone. So maybe you have to cry about something that happened when you were like 5 or 7 or in elementary school, things that you never allowed yourself to feel before. But it's because you're clearing out those emotions so they can't stop you from staying on that upward spiral. Ascension is purging the other things so that you can rise up, so that your vibration, when in your human, did I get rid of the human one? I did. So the auric field one, so that your auric field gets lighter. And what does that do? When you die, you're lift up out of the body, as opposed to if you were in any of this stuff over here, unfortunately, I got to keep it 100 with y'all. You drop down, you descend instead of ascend. This whole lifetime, you are working on balancing your emotions because the bad stuff is going to happen or it's going to be in there, but you can clear it out. You can rise up. And then you'll just live in a space of okayness, hopeful, optimism. You can be optimistic every day. That's not going to hurt anybody. You can be joyous every day. And if it hurts somebody, it's because they're the opposite. What's the opposite of joy? If joy is number one, fear, grief, depression, victimlessness. I said I remixed that. That is not victimlessness. That's powerlessness and victim remix. So I got on here because I would have never thought I would have been able to do a video today. I was real like spiritually drowning. And then I realized I am holding myself back due to old alliances, old commitments, things that I wouldn't even known had I not learned about my past life stuff, but it was just something I felt instinctually. I felt like I was going to leave him behind if I started doing what I needed to do to move in a different direction. And I knew he was supposed to do this with me. But after I finished like all my crying and all my frustration, and I got right back with Jesus, or I tapped back into source to replenish after I cleared out those emotions, because you got to do that. You got to pray about it afterwards, or just even when you don't pray, you don't want to talk. Just let me feel your energy. Ask God, just hold my hand, just walk with me, and you can feel the difference. But after that, then I refreshed my algorithm on YouTube, and it was recommended. And it was like, the battle was not yours, Yolanda Adams. And I was like, oh, I get it. Because the thing that was bothering me was I was inserting myself. I kept filtering, like, we're energetically bound. Nothing I can control. I noticed this was like a recurring thing, right? But I'm filtering out like his depression and all that stuff, just trying to keep him from being in a low space. But he's still engaging in low vibrational behavior and stuff. And I keep filtering that out. And I'm like, hold on. I am literally carrying part of this man's depression, and I am keeping myself in the depression because I don't want anything to happen to him because he was in such a dark place. But I am now putting myself in a dark space. And when I saw that the battle is not yours, I understood that I could let go and do what I need to do, because that person has to come to their own relationship when they realize that God is holding their hand. I was taking things into my own hands and like being pulled down with those hands. Like, I can still pray for him, I can still send love, but the way that that tether was working was against me. It wasn't even allowing me to sing or work on my music or nothing, because when I made the music, his soul was with me. So a lot of the like the lyricism and the stuff that was done in it, he helped me. I didn't even get to let him hear those songs on the demo thing I gave him, because those were ones that I was told to hold that were like special or whatnot, because he'd have to hear the lyrics to understand, like, holy shit, because he knows his style and the way he writes and stuff. So I didn't want to sign with anybody else. I didn't want to even release anything, because this was supposed to be like our big thing we're doing together. I was looking at it wrong. I am going to now move forward. I've been holding myself up for 2 years, just sitting around, just because I thought that's what I was supposed to do. That was a lower level emotion. And what was that lower level emotion? Codependency, because this has been my partner that I do everything with for the last million trillion years. And in this life, I have Chiron and Gemini. If you have Chiron and Gemini, your wound is that you don't have a twin that you usually have. But it's so you can learn how to do stuff on your own. Ironic. This place is messed up and mildly torturous, but I have faith that at the end, when we get back home and we all have to do our big PowerPoint presentations, that there will be a lesson or something that we can share with the others who are brave enough to come back to earth, because it definitely won't be me. So I hope y'all appreciate this today. And for anybody else who's feeling emotional, there's a new moon in Cancer tomorrow. Enjoy that. Hopefully this will help some other people so they don't spiral.